Hi everyone, my name's Alex. I work for an agency called Byte, who were bought by DEPT about 18 months ago. We are Byte DEPT, and my role, I guess, day to day is talking to brands and clients who want to enter the Web3 space, trying to educate them, answer questions that they've got. So this is just, I guess, a short overview of some of the conversations and questions which we discuss when we're talking to our clients. So in terms of people in this room, everyone will have a different definition of Web3. Everyone will have a different definition of the metaverse. For us, metaverse is the 3D successor of the mobile internet. It can be a digital twin of our world, both augmented and virtual reality. I think people think of the metaverse as Ready Player One and people in headsets. I think it's far deeper than that. If we look at what Web3 looks like, the whole thing being underpinned by decentralization, an economy with blockchain technology and tokens, land being able to be bought as NFTs, and that NFT, as the third point, being really important around virtual possessions, NFT ownership being proof of ownership not just of digital goods, but also in the real world, and really big drivers of digital possessions, things such as the fashion industry, which is really huge at the moment. Earlier this year, we launched our Web3 practice, so there's various people here, Brandon and Max, and DEPT is an agency of 3,000 people now, and we have specialists all over the world who kind of work in different areas. My background is more around point one. I co-founded a VR agency, AR agency in 2015. Before then, my background was in more traditional media in the UK, BBC Sports. I worked at Liverpool Football Club as head of content. I worked for Abu Dhabi Media Company, but in immersive tech for the last 7 years. So metaverse being immersive content, both virtual and augmented, gaming is absolutely huge at the moment. Then if we look at the economy and the ownership models of NFT and digital fashion, as I said, and then that third part that underpins everything is the technology and those cryptocurrencies, the blockchain tech, and the whole idea of decentralization. So if we look at the world of gaming, it's basically morphing into what we call the metaverse. We can have big conversations about whether Roblox or Fortnite are truly Web3 or metaversal because they're not decentralized, but the bottom line is lots of people are gaming. If we look at kids in America, more kids are playing Fortnite than basketball and football combined. And for those of you who've got kids, certainly my kids during the pandemic, they were 6 and 8 when it started, they were 8 and 10 when it finished, and they were playing Roblox and Fortnite, not just to play and have fun, but that was their primary way of they communicate with their friends. And even now they're back at school and out enjoying themselves, they still use these platforms and these games for far more than just playing games. It's their kind of primary communication tool. And again, if we want to think about how we connect with brands, connect with Gen Z and even Gen Alpha, some of the numbers we look at, in terms of gaming, Roblox, last year, 2.5 billion chat messages sent, 17 friendships, requests accepted in Roblox every day. We look at multi-billion dollars being spent in the metaverse, virtual concerts, 12 million live plays and 91 million replays. My son classes the Ariana Grande concert on Fortnite last year as his first true concert, just as I did when I went to watch rock bands in Manchester in the early 90s. He classes that experience as just as authentic and just as meaningful. And the point I mentioned earlier, over 50% of metaverse players use it to socialize as well. We're still at a very early stage. If we look at where the interesting metaverse changed, when Facebook changed their name to Meta, it's still very, very early. We don't know which platforms are going to succeed. We don't know where crypto ends up. But there are lots of brands still looking to explore this place and lots of people still trying to do very interesting bits and pieces and work in this space. Again, if we look at 60% of Gen Zers, 62% of millennials, driven massively by the pandemic, thinking about how they present themselves online is more important than in real life. So if we look on the left, that's Jeff, our exec creative director, rocking the DEPT puffer jacket, the first piece of clothing to be made using Snapchat's body tracking tech last year. That we sold that as NFTs. And we look at some of these companies that have developed in the past couple of years, Fabricant, Artifacts that ended up being bought by Nike and DressX, NFT-based, wearables, clothes you can buy and sell virtually to make yourself look good and cool and different and trade things with your friends. All these things have become super, super important to lots of young people in the past couple of years. This is a great line, and people that have got kids will see it too. Kids designing their avatars and their lands and their worlds and all these different things. The next Coco Chanel is probably a 10-year-old girl who's currently designing Roblox skins, and I think that is are really exciting, interesting things that, people my age probably still don't fully understand. That it's my kids and how they use these platforms that have a true understanding of what comes next. If you look at all the platforms that we have, there are so many out there to choose from. If you look at the top right, these very big established gaming platforms with lots of numbers, lots of people involved, high-end graphics, big reach. We look at some of the really nice AR platforms in the corner, Niantic and 8 Ball, that are doing great stuff, but they don't particularly have such a big reach. Horizon Worlds is really interesting. Meta's big platform, only in North America until this week. Now it's in the UK. Lands like Sandbox and Decentraland, where you can buy and sell land and NFTs, still very early days for them. And platforms like Journey and Surreal, where you can make really nice bespoke experiences. Again, if you look at some of the numbers, mind-boggling numbers for those top two in terms of the games and the reach, 50 mil, 30 mil players a day. Meta have been really cautious with Horizon, only 300 registered users. You can only currently use a headset. As I say, it's just opened up to the UK, but brands have been very slow to go in there. Wendy's have gone in there and built a virtual diner, but they've just let community go in there and play with it. They're taking a real long approach to it. Decentraland and Sandbox, we've seen tons of speculation in those areas. People buying bits of land for 4, 5, 6 million. We still don't know where this ends up. We're talking tens of, 30,000, 300,000 users. If we have to take the platforms that we believe those numbers, but they're absolutely microscopic compared to those some of the big gaming platforms. These are some very early productions of. We're making a Roblox game for a big fashion retail at the minute. It's going to be released in the next week or two, but we could only kind of show the earlier stuff. Brands have two options. One is building on these existing platforms. Roblox and Fortnite will get you a massive access to an audience of under 30s. Roblox has got 8 million experiences on it. So how do people cut through? That is a big, big challenge. Lots of brands want to attract younger people, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, but making great games on these platforms is only half the battle. Forever 21 made a brilliant fashion game before Christmas. No one played it because they didn't have a way or a method or a strategy to actually send people to the game, be it through social media or links or in-store advertising. Decentraland and the Sandbox, we're looking at more higher average users, lots of alcohol brands, and we're dealing with a couple at the minute. We'll go straight to Decentraland, the Sandbox, because they just don't have the restrictions that Roblox and Fortnite do. But, we can go to these platforms where there's millions of eyeballs, but the competition for them is fierce, and it just seems to me, at the minute, every single brand of note wants to put a Roblox experience in. The other thing you can do is build an experience by yourself. I wrote this before I had an experience with Surreal yesterday where I was talking at an event. The Surreal platform didn't react particularly well to having 300 people on at the same time, so it sadly keeled over and crashed. Journey are really good and really interesting. DEPT do a lot of work with them. We produced a very high-end showroom for them, for H&M, to showcase their new platforms. These are worlds that are super high-end. You can't keep them persistent because the server costs are so high. You only want a handful of people in there. In the case of H&M, they're taking a handful of influencers or journalists in at a particular time to show them around. But the results of these worlds are kind of, I guess, more akin to what what a lot of people would think the metaverse would be, kind of high-end and beautiful. I'm hoping that the next slide will show you a video of what our H&M showroom looks like. So this, as I say, a very specific reason behind this. It's not a virtual shop. It's not online 24/7. It's very specific for H&M to launch their new ranges, take influencers and take journalists inside, and I guess show off these new ranges in a completely different way. Augmented reality, very underrated part of, I guess, what we would call metaversal experiences. Again, we've all got a mobile phone in our pocket. Not everyone's got a headset. This mobile phone is probably the primary way most people will enter the metaverse. If Bytes, we have long-standing relationships with Snap and TikTok, and we make a lot of lenses for these platforms on their behalf. So if we look at some of the new changes that are coming in now around geolocation experiences, Snap, you can map the whole of London with your brand. Multi-user games and persistent storage AR. you could have, you could be a shop in the build up to Christmas where every day you could add to your Christmas experience. So you could have a virtual calendar. Every day you could go and do something different. You can give people kind of reasons to return, reasons to repeat. Maybe you've set them a big quest or a big challenge that kids can't do in a day so they can go back. So there are lots of really interesting, exciting things I think that are going to happen in the augmented reality world in the next year or so as we get more powerful phones and the platforms give us kind of more things that we can play with. How do NFTs fit into this? NFTs being a unique bit of code that shows that you own a particular asset, be it a picture of a monkey, be it a very expensive bottle of whiskey. The bottom line is that NFTs are the main way of expressing ownership in the metaverse at the moment. They may not be forever. I'm sure Brandon will have some ideas when we speak to him later, but at the minute, they are the driving part of ownership. And when we think about NFTs, the brands that are successful, they're looking at them more than just selling an item, selling a digital product. None of these ideas that are listed here are particularly exciting, interesting or new. A lot of this stuff exists, but it exists more as a loyalty card. So if we're talking about exclusive offers, play-to-earn gaming, ticketing and access, I'll give you an example. So we've spoken to a few sports teams about season tickets as NFTs. How could that be different? You could have an NFT which proves that you've been to every single game, which is a big thing for fans. You could have an NFT which gives you bespoke highlights, maybe even from your area of the ground for every single game. There's lots of really interesting things sports clubs are looking to do in this space. Gary Vaynerchuk is opening a seafood restaurant in the States. He raised $15 million, an NFT sale. People were paying up to $30,000 just to get a seat in the restaurant. It doesn't get you any food, but it gets you a membership of an exclusive club. And his business partner spoke about exactly that, about some NFTs are now seen as a digital flex in the way that we might own a nice car or a suit or a dress or jewelry or Rolex. People are now looking at NFTs as a way to show off their status. We're now seeing Instagram and Spotify and other places looking at how can people show off their NFTs, because that's the next big challenge. I had the company who run TikTok called me the other day that they've got a platform they're looking into. Every platform at the minute is now looking to create how people can showcase their NFTs to friends. And, you know, I go to this club, I can do this. So how NFTs are shown and shared and can be maybe even be borrowed is a really interesting area as well. Very quick overview for you guys. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much. Please ask me any questions. And if not, thank you very much.